Okay, welcome back to ChillBuilder's Showcase. Boys and girls, ladies and gents. Here we have three units that share some similarity in terms of the principles for performance. What they're doing is they're timer-based units that does an attack run from the front. Uh, yeah, and they all use custom breadboard timer. These front-facing units, they would move forward to a close range, unleash their firepower, and then back off to a more safer, more evasive range. Uh, this here, the Misty Cipher, I built this while I was listening to the audiobook for Mistborn. That's kind of why I'm inspired to call it that. It's pretty cool, evasive craft. It's got a uh, kinetic rocket, and it's got a multi-purpose particle cannon that's breadboard control, just for a little bit of air defense. It's got these tiny missiles for, again, air defense. They're not super good, so they're kind of just there. If we have a swarm of these, the missiles can get lucky and take down a few planes. But really, it's a particle cannon that's doing the job for AA. And here, this is a space fighter. It just spawned it in atmosphere and then pause the game. But normally it wants to operate in space, so it would just go straight up until it's in space. It does have enough engine power to get up into space by itself, and then it can do has two modes actually. It can do either um, a traditional aircraft bombing run, or it can do a front-based uh, cycle approach of closing the distance and then backing off while keeping the front toward the enemy. So that was quite the nightmare to breadboard, just with all the different conditions and triggers. And then it's got pod engines. You can see there's a little bit of exhaust for the engine for the ions to come out just because how expensive ions are. I want to have them mounted on spinner so they can always be performing. There won't be a case where the ions are either facing one direction or facing the direction where it's not needed and then not doing something. So these are yaw and pitch spinners for the ions. Pretty nifty. And here, this is a mech that is basically using the same breadboard as this one, along with some additional features for walking animations. And then we got these spin clipped diff drones. Uh, so there's just one spin block stacking. So uh, the craft is twice the volume of what you're looking at. So yeah, with the intro out of the way, let's do some combat test. I guess I'll show the cost of some of these units. So this is first one, Misty Cipher, 52k and 20 something firepower. So not super impressive firepower, but very reliable with the kinetic rocket. Very hard to intercept. It's kind of designed to take down small and easy prey or working swarms. So I think the breadboard for this contained a lot of randomizer to insert random numbers into the altitude and uh, attack cycle control, so then a number of these don't bump into each other. And again, this was made before the collision avoidance update, so I had to kind of do a bit of my own programming to work around that. And I think probably collision avoidance modern day is okay enough for most of these to survive without bumping into each other, swarm attack. This one here is 100k, so and 57 firepower, almost no armor, so that's a bit of an issue. But with craft like these, you're always relying on speed and evasion to survive. The firepower is okay. It's got two kinetic rockets, basically very high speed missiles with very poor turn rate. Is what I'm calling rockets now. They are indeed guided, and we got a particle cannon for anti-aircraft. And we got a kinetic burst gun. Not a kinetic, a, a rail charge burst gun with HESH shells, I believe. And this is a missile build with 4 large missiles, 2 of these diff drones. The total cost is 35K. It's around the price point of a large frigate. But being a front side attack cycle unit, it far outperforms any broadside naval unit at this cost range. It's very hard to get a properly performing naval unit that doesn't just die instantly in this cost bracket. It's got a little bit of plasma cannon. Um, yeah. Alright, having a look at the Misty Cipher first, the most straightforward craft. As you can see, they will go into a close range fire this uh, kinetic rocket. With kinetic missiles, they do tend to miss sometimes. And then they back off to a long range while maintaining some kind of evasive maneuvering. One thing about these kinetic rockets is that they can, even with remote guidance, they can still miss just due to uh, the stability of the craft and any kind of ECM jammers and the inherent inaccuracy of kinetic weapon. But the reason I developed these gunships, oh shit, well, that's a miss there, and that's a hit. With traditional radar guided missiles in my previous gunship design, which this one is kind of supplementing slash replacing. The missiles tend to get intercepted quite easily or distracted by uh, radar decoys. So just wanted something that's more reliable. And then I think the previous iteration is not armed with a particle cannon. For so it's kind of limited capability against other aircraft. So you can see the evasive action is pretty minimal, but it's enough to grant it survivability. Again, with a small frontal profile. So they're all bobbing up and down, a slightly different range to the target, but then the attack cycles are kind of offset as well by a few milliseconds. Again, that can be adjusted in the breadboard, but so far is quite good. I think this Iron Maiden is down on its last legs. It's quite a tanky craft, so it can survive for quite long against these missile attacks. But uh, yeah, okay. This is the Buteo is a enemy front side airship, so I don't know if we have enough speed to catch it. Let's see. Now we're doing demo for the Fae Dalliance, which is, well, I would say is one of my most beautiful designs, most beautiful aircraft that I've ever designed. So now you can see they're kind of turning around and doing the space back to space. So they're performing a dive bomb from up in space. Let's hide the UI and look. It's got the 2 missiles. Okay, both missiles connected. Now it's backing off again. You can switch the mode to point and hold or point. Just point straight at the target. So now they're not turning around to do the attack run anymore. They're just facing forward and then doing the close and fire motion of the previous craft. So it's got the AI of 2 different craft into one with a switch that can be manually triggered. So it's not super well performing in atmosphere, just with of the space engines it's carrying. I can do some kind of light duty attack against um, smaller spacecraft of the Scarlet Dawn. That's kind of why these are developed, but I kept adding more features uh, until it has decent performance against kind of air, slow planetary designs as well. The yeah, there's a lot of fire control on this craft, so the optimal ranges for all these weapons, because a lot of its kind of gimmick relies on a, a decent burst fire um, during an attack run, having all the three different types of weapon systems work together during when it fires one burst on close engaging. So the optimal ranges for these weapons are all set based on bread. So it will always fire at the most opportune moment, just based on how fast the enemy is running away, or the size of the target, just to give it the maximum chance of all the attacks connecting. It looks very cool while it attacks, and the three very different weapon systems also work together. Yeah, beautiful craft. So here you can see the walking animation for this mech scout, the Affinity mech. One problem with this being a hybrid airborne land-based unit is to be airborne and evasive has to be extremely lightweight. And then during the walking animation, the animation is kind of playing out decently, but it doesn't have enough weight to just with neater physics to actually stick to the ground. One thing I could do is I can turn on some downforce thrusters in walking mode. So it's got walk, fly, and it's got skate. Um, but the walking animation is just for fun. There's no real practical purpose. So to get around quick on land, it can skate. That's good, and we can save some engine power from the skating instead of flying to recharge its energy weapons and plasma cannons while still remaining decently evasive. Okay, one problem with these docking settings are kind of glitchy while close to the ground, and it'll be smash one of these drones into the ground. It just evaporates instantly, so I have to respawn it before for our next demo.
Moving out.
And we can skate over the ocean. Let's see. Now, all of these craft have Heartstone, and they have a pilot compartment as well. A little small as it is. Oh, now it's detecting water, and then it transitions automatically to aircraft mode. So I was obviously inspired to build this after playing Armored Core, same as uh, the big mech from the previous episode. It's got those pseudo Zimmerman shotguns. This one is quite evasive. And it's got multiple different weapon systems working together as well. So yeah, very Armored Core like. It's got a little bit of APS firepower, but that's really these diff guns. They're for swatting down missiles, I believe. Actually, these missiles are radar guided, so these are for swatting down decoys, uh, with any luck. Hold on, I think these are the plasma cannons, and then these are the diff guns. Yeah, okay, these look like diff guns. Okay, let's test our performance against a single Osprey. So the diff drones, they're closing. Are they getting hit by the EMP missiles? The the diff has fired. Are the drones surviving? Yes. So we got the four missiles, more diff cannon blasts. Yeah, this is a front side unit. It's gonna be quite difficult for us. The layout you can see is quite evasive. The layout of the craft is kind of like a chicken. All the um, complex bits are up top in this main torso. Oof. And then there's a little bit of fuel and ammo storage in the legs where it doesn't damage the rest of the craft. They get blown off. And then some missile interceptors as well. So we're doing good. We had a lucky burst. We had a previous um, try at doing the demo where we failed, which is quite rare, but I think they got some lucky EMP hits into our missile controller and the missiles just stopped firing. We didn't get to see uh, the decoy water guns on the mech fire. I guess that craft doesn't use decoys, that's why. But the Suez control on decoy swatters are quite hit and miss as well, so they won't work each and every single time. It's quite cinematic to see these missiles zooming in. So they're radar guided, which makes them a bit more accurate compared to remote guided missiles. But yeah, the problem is that they're vulnerable to decoy, so you got. It's nice to have some kind of system that can swat down the decoys. So that's the first demo. All right, the next round of showcase. These are the new generation of hover tanks, where they have a lot of fans to provide stability and redundancy. One good thing about these fans is that if they have proper clearance, they're extremely efficient. The other thing is that they're EMP resistant compared to the jets, the simple jets. So that's kind of why I implemented a lot of fans on these craft, especially with kind of positive results from the previous build with the combiner hover tank. So these are smaller evolutions of that. So the first one here is a fairly cheap unit. It's a dedicated anti-aircraft unit with lasers. Not too much to talk about, but uh, I just like how pretty it looks. It's the first one of this series with this particular aesthetic. And here, this is a more expensive hover tank with um, AP heat railgun and a small plasma cannon, decent armor as well. But yeah, it's just a all-around unit, and it's got these diff cannons for shield disruption. Yeah, very very pretty. Decent combat performance, not you know OP. It's just well balanced unit. And does it have different range control? Hover tank. It's got two different ranges that can manually give it command to stay at. So depending on if the target is threatening or not, then we can kind of improve our accuracy of fire. This one is clearly a close range attack unit, just because this unit, while it's decent at kind of dueling enemies, is not very good at taking down weak enemies really quickly. It's just long sustaining, but then it's also very material hungry. So that's kind of a combination with a certain drawback. Um, so this is kind of a punchy unit, lots of diff guns. It's got this X-wing configuration and it's got a CRAM cannon. And even though it looks like a turret, which makes it look nice, it's actually hull mounted. It's not a turret, just with how space inefficient CRAMs are. So decent price, good firepower, and then a lot of burst damage. So just have a closer look at all these decals. Very, very pretty decals. This is the timer, I think, for attacking. So if I spawn a bunch of these, a different number should show up at the back. and it's kind of a larger assault destroyer with a little bit over budget at 25, 250k materials. It's got decent firepower for its cost and very high armor value. Pretty meta frontsider. It's got the kinetic burst cannon or kinetic beam weapon, showing the previous one. And where is its plasma? Oh, here. So this is the first unit with weapons in the spawn zones. Waterlily dance. Oh yeah, and this one is called the Vulgar Testament, which is a previous hover tank that spans missiles. That's why it's called that. But no, we kept the same hull form, but completely different function. This one, the Velvet Blade. I like the name for that. And this one, the Vandal Knight, just with how savage it is with its burst fire type of attack. Okay, for our next trick, I guess I would just show it all at once. There's nothing really special about how they perform. The laser tank, it should be aiming for the heli, which can crash onto the main hull of the ship and evaporate it instantly. This one should be doing an attack run, which we might not be on the correct timer for, or it may be damaged by the EMP pack. Not sure. And the hover tank is basically a frontside airship that's wobbling side to side with a turret mounted gun. Oh, we're closing in for an attack, I hope. I didn't see anything. Why are you moving forward? I think this one has some issues with its collision avoidance. That's why sometimes it zooms in very quickly to a close range. And here's the assault destroyer. Oh yeah, now we saw the diff guns firing. I think did a decent amount of damage just coring out the side of this ship. All of my diff guns use time frag, which is not the and CRAM cannons as well, which is not the best type of ammunition for doing a lot of critical damage inside the craft, such as APHE, but they're way more reliable in terms of landing consistent hits. So everything I build, I want to be as reliable as possible. Always doing some damage instead of either doing a lot of damage or no damage at all. Oh, yeah, I don't know why it wasn't doing a lot of attacks before, but now it's blasting and blasting a lot. Pendef's CRAM. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know laser can create a one-hit trail like that. Yeah, barely take any damage. Well, I guess it's not a fair fight since the Kitakami doesn't really have any armor. So yeah, I think that's all for this episode. Thanks everyone for watching. If you like this kind of content for From the Depths, don't forget to like and subscribe. And yeah, stay tuned for the next episode. See ya!